Hey everybody, it's great to see you. I'm on my own again. The spot that Meg normally takes is missing. She's actually, her spot is on an airplane right now, on her way to Columbus, Ohio to attend and help run and present at the Manufacturing Council. So it's one of the areas that we work in a lot is manufacturing. And so she's off doing the things. To do that, I think she's working, let's see, tomorrow maybe is the event. So anyway, so that's the story there. And then we have lots of announcements. We'll try to keep it brief. I was going to be teaching class today, but that ended up not happening at the guiding organizational change portion got postponed. And so I'm delightfully here and getting some things done in the office. So the next thing we have, the big thing we have, well, I have the Hero Club meeting this weekend, which is going to be super fun. It's down at Sitting Bull, no, not Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse Memorial. And then right after that, I'm getting in a car and racing East River to Sioux Falls to me and Shelly and Meg are all going to Sioux Falls. We have a big event called the Accountability Summit, and it's really fun. We're co-hosting the event with Maggie Owen, and I just got off the phone with her, kind of sketching out all the things. And we're going to range from how to be aligned with your organization to creating and setting goals, and how to actually achieve your goals instead of just setting goals. And then they turn out to be aspirational goals because you don't actually get them done. So it's all about that, how to get your mind around accountability for 2020. We touch a little bit on culture, touch a little bit on teams, touch a little bit about getting things done. So that's next Wednesday. And we will take people all the way until the day of the event. So I know we have a lot of chaos people in the room, and a lot of times we don't even know what we're doing tomorrow, let alone a week from now. So we want to make it flexible as possible. It's going to be a really fun event. We're looking forward to having you join us there. Let's see. Other announcements. Oh, we have, I'm super excited. Our journal, our 2020 journal is at the printer. Hopefully it's getting shipped. And we got it submitted last week, so the first proofs are on their way, and we can't wait to share that with you. We're going to be using those in our Facebook Lives. We're also going to start interviewing people in our Facebook Lives. So we're going to create topics that connect IX leadership with broader business challenges and solutions. And so that'll be really fun. We're going to start doing that in the next couple months. Meg and I need to practice doing a live from 2 locations. So you're going to get to see all of the sausage being made about that and see how that works for us in the next couple weeks. Let's see. I think that's really all. Again, always, we continue to sell an amazing amount of books. It's really inspiring for us and really heartwarming knowing that our things are going out in the world. Please, if you have perspective on the book, submit an Amazon review. I did not realize how difficult it was until other people asked me for a review, and I'm like, oh, I guess I haven't done that for them. And so I've been realizing how difficult it is to actually take the time to get out there, log in, and do all this stuff. So if you get a moment, please give us a review. We'd love to have one. Okay, so today's topic is really interesting. And the fascinating thing is, it's interesting because not very many people in this group are stabilizers. And so our topic is stabilizer retreat. So I see I took a picture of the questions, but I did not pick up the rest of the post, but I can guess what it said. And that is that stabilizers are team driven and they're order tolerant. And it makes up a majority of the workforce. And the challenge is that for those of us who aren't stabilizers, how do you interface with a stabilizer? How do you connect with them? We need each other. So chaos people who are, whiteboarders, squirrels, want new ideas all the time. We're part of what grows a company, what pushes us forward. But we also need the people that love doing this stuff, that a day in and day out, come into work and do all the things. And often we see those people, they become experts in their field because they focus on the same thing for their whole career, and which frankly I will not do. So I really respect them for being able to focus and being consistent and becoming the expert. So think Nobel Prize winners, all the way to welders. I mean, so it really is quite the gamut. We see a lot of stabilizers in manufacturing. We see a lot of stabilizers in legal. We see a lot of stabilizers in, let's see, what else? In a lot of like nursing and caregiving roles where you are really passionately committed to the health and well-being of other people. And so that's part of the interesting connection, is that they often resist change because they simply believe that the way things are the way they should be. And so they're not resisting change because they're being obstinate, although it does happen that way and it comes across that way. They're actually resisting the change because they truly believe that they don't need to change anything, that how it is just fine. And so why would you change something that's already fine? So it's an interesting place to connect with, because so many of us are, especially in this group, are chaos tolerant, fixers and independents. And actually the level of detail that stabilizers require can sometimes drive us crazy. And in fact, I was just speaking with the gentleman over the weekend, and he's the CEO of a company. It's a startup, but it's a good sized startup. And he was saying that, what was it? His wife is starting something, and he had all this stuff already figured out, is going to send it out. And then he said, oh my gosh, my wife wants to read it, and I'm afraid if she reads it, then it'll be a month before it goes out because she'll want to do all the details. And I said, send it to her. She needs to read it. And you can say, we really don't have space for edits, but I want you to see it and know what's going out so that you're aware of what's going on. Because of course, the husband is a chaos guy and she is not a chaos woman. And so probably a stabilizer. So she's very anxious when she doesn't know what things are going. Whereas a more chaos oriented person is just like, we'll just figure it out as we go. We'll just roll with it. And so stabilizers really need a lot more of the detail and the planning and things to be a certain way, the way that they think is the right way. And where the fixers were much more likely to just roll with it. So that's a big difference. And that very difference, we need each other, but that very difference can drive each other crazy. I'm sure I've talked about some sort of more common examples in lives before. So a couple things is, when you run into someone who is not like you, I want you to take a minute and consider where they're coming from, why they need to know those things, how it benefits them. And frankly, having someone in your team that benefits them is because that makes them more productive. It makes them less anxious. It makes them more connected to the vision and what you're trying to achieve. And so what we like to do is we like to just take a minute and sort of live in that, instead of reacting in oh, this person drives me crazy kind of way, you know, react in sort of this place of curiosity and why they might think that way. And especially if you're not really sure what culture type they are, it allows you to explore more fully how you can work together. And yes, it sometimes is frustrating. It's not easy because we often are attracted and like to work with people who think like us. So who think in a chaotic way, who see opportunities that might not otherwise be there. And for people to say, no, that's not the way we've done it. We've always done it this other way. And for you and I, that might be the worst thing you could ever say to me. But for them, it's their level of comfort. It's where they thrive. And in fact, there's some statistics from a productivity perspective that if you force someone to work in a way that is out of their comfort zone, it's actually could be about 30% reduction in their productivity. Conversely, if you encourage and allow someone to work in where they love and how they love to work, then they can be up to 40% more productive. So that means if you do the math, that's almost 70% more productivity than if they're working in a way that's very hard for them. So it's not only a gift to them that you're giving, but it's also a gift to yourself and the team and the organization by allowing them to work in the way they could. Another thing that we see a lot is for small groups, individuals, solo entrepreneurs that are doing work in the community, and they love the creativity, they love the chaos of solving problems for people, working with clients, coaching, consulting, facilitating. Often they're limited and self-limiting by not having somebody in their team or in their life that can help them with the day-to-day in and out stuff. So often the advice I often give solo entrepreneurs or people with very small teams is, listen, there's a couple things. You need to make sure that you have people on your team that are doing the things that you know that you don't do well. And often that becomes across that chaos to order spectrum. The other side of it is I'm working with a gentleman who is the only fixer in a group. He's in a small startup, IT startup. He's the only fixer in a group of stabilizers and organizers. And his biggest challenge is that they don't problem solve. They pass all the problems up to him so he can problem solve. Now that might be a perception problem, that might be a way he communicates problem, but it also is deep down, stabilizers will often see an issue and they think that needs fixing, but they don't feel that innate need to go fix it, especially if they're deeply involved in something else. So his challenge is that he actually needs more fixers on his team to help him manage all of these chaotic environments. So this is a really, it's an interesting thing to know about and think about the balance you have of stabilizers to other types, because they are the biggest group, 44%. And they truly do keep your organization stable, right? That's why we call them that. And then, but they also, hi Deborah, hi. But they also, once you get them moved, they will move up to the next phase after the change, and they will lock into it. So if you want to make sure that you want to go the direction you're going, because those stabilizers, once they get unstable, they want to become stable as quickly as possible. So that's very, very important to recognize and make sure that the place you're wanting them to go is the place that you want them to go and stay, because they're not like more chaotically driven people who are all over the place. I'll stay here for a day and I'll go here for a day, and then the next day I'm in a totally other place. Make sure that you're guiding them to the place where you want them to be, because they're going to get there and they're going to stay there, even though it takes them quite a while. In fact, where's my stabilizer? Here's a stabilizer card. So that's why we drew it this way, because they truly are like that stabilizing force. And so the transition, when we talk about change transition, the blue line is unguided. So this means that when they go through change, it's very, very long and very slow. They resist it a lot, and then they kind of get to where they're going pretty fast, right? They don't have a lot of innovation phase. They don't like chaos, not a fan. They just want to know what's the goal and how do we get there and how do we exceed that goal. It's not that people or stabilizers don't like working hard or being the best at their job. It's just they don't like to have 1,000 things all the time. They like to know what's happening and how they can be the most successful doing that. So managed, if you guide well, you can reduce that decline by quite substantially and then get them into that new phase as quickly as possible. So here you can see it says they're experts in their fields and they dislike isolation. The worst thing you can do to a stabilizer is isolate them. And we have several situations where stabilizers have been isolated, and that makes them more and more anxious, more and more worried, more and more upset. And often they don't even really know that's what they're doing, because they want to do the thing that makes the most sense. They want to do the thing that makes people most comfortable and happy. But often they do that to the detriment of what they need personally. And if you don't understand that you need that connection, then if you become isolated in your job, you become much more anxious and uncomfortable. you don't realize that that's the piece of your job that's making you crazy. So it's really, really important to start understanding how other people, not you, actually relate to work. So there's a couple things that I, on the poll that I'll touch on. And I think I already touched on the first question, which is what are the drivers and fears of stabilizers? So drivers they love team and they love predictability. They love order. Hold on, let me see if I can find it relatively. I flipped right to the fixer one last week. That was pretty good. It's going to take me a minute longer to find the stabilizer one though. Okay, what's this one? Independence. No, that's organizers. Fixers. Stabilizers are our very first one in the book on page 27. So drivers are to operate within social and order, to have stability and security, to create cohesiveness. They love it when people getting along. They like to be a part of something bigger, to have time to process information and have confidence in their surroundings. Moving and just relocating, and so often that's really stressful. So the fears are to be alone, and to be alone is to be judged, and to not have a plan, to be in opposition to others. They really don't like it. That's why you get this. Sometimes they do things for the group that it doesn't serve them. To be left out or ignored. I have a little bit of that, I gotta admit. To do something incorrectly and to stand out against the crowd. To stand out from the crowd or go against others. That is very, very painful for them. So a lot of times we say, well, we just want to empower people to make the decision themselves. That is chaos talk. I can guarantee you that most order tolerant people just want to know, just tell me what you want. This feels like a trap. Like it feels like the chaos people are setting a trap for them. Okay, so how can I help a team member or myself work through stabilizer retreat? And what is stabilizer retreat and what are the symptoms? Those are the questions. So is this something that we actually had to define before, or am I just making this up?
What?
The stabilizer retreat.
You and Nick were talking about it.
Oh, we did. We talked about it. Okay, just checking.
Like fix or burnout.
Fix or burnout, stabilizer retreat. Yes, since fix or burnout was last week. Shelly is back in the office. Yes, and is next door. So stabilizer retreat. I talk a lot about when you go through big changes, people will retreat to their corners. So if you work in a big team, like I was in Landsat, when we went through a lot of chaos, everyone would retreat to their corners. And frankly, I really wanted to figure out what those corners were. It was so interesting to watch the team take on change. And even though they were uncomfortable with big change, they were incredibly, by the time things got rolling, they were just incredibly professional and super amazing. And it was really a gift to be in that environment and to see them do their thing. And so I was really curious about what those corners were. What we see with stabilizers is they take the hardest retreat from change. So they go very, very deep into things like their friends and family that reinforce their beliefs, same as a lot of other types do. But in the stabilizer world, their corner is all about when a stabilizer retreats, it's really about protection and group protection. So there's an example that I talk about where there's a company that was bought by a large holding firm, and the holding company is a financial services company. So they're buying up all of these companies all over the US, all over the world. And one of the companies they bought was a deep stabilizer company. And it was a family-owned company that sold out to this big holding company. And so the family-owned company, we'll call it Sam. So Sam was the CEO, and he was the sort of the patriarch of the company. And he hired his wife and his kid and his cousin and his nephew and everything. So everything is everyone in that company that was left is a family member. And dollars to donuts, those family members are stabilizers. And frankly, you can see stabilizers operating that way. Like, let's say a stabilizer gets a job at an organization where they have some leadership role. Well, what they'll do is they'll want to hire people from their life from outside that they've worked with before. So they'll want to bring those people in with them. And mostly that's to create that stable environment that they like, right? So we have seen that happen, which has been really, really, it makes me smile because they don't even know they're really doing it, and it's part of their stabilizer sort of behavior. But anyway, back to Sam. So Sam was bought, Sam's company was bought a couple of years ago. And when I was working with the holding company, they said, oh my God, if you could tell me what's going on with Sam, that'd be great because he's driving us crazy. Because what would happen with Sam is you would go talk to Sam and Sam would be like convivial, congenial. He'd want to chat. He'd want to engage. And, oh yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. Let's do all these new things. And then they would leave and Sam went back to Sam's people and then literally nothing would happen. And he would call and complain about all the stuff that he now was supposed to do to everybody else in the company. And so it felt both kind of passive aggressive, and it felt really like he was almost lying to their face, right? And like he was going behind their back because he would never complain to the person he met with. He would complain to everybody else. And so this is really a challenge. Stabilizers often will intellectually, they might understand that a change happens. Clearly, Sam sold out to this huge firm. He knows things are going to have to change. But when it comes to actually doing it, he doesn't know how to do it or even how to convince other people to do it. So when he's one-on-one with that chaos person, he's totally on board. But when he's not, he has a hard time actually getting his heart and soul behind the change. So then often what stabilizers do, they don't want to upset you because you're the chaos person that they spoke to. So what they do is they'll talk to everybody else and kind of get a sense of how they're doing it or what they're doing or what's going on, how they think about it. And then what happens is that gets back to me and it sounds like that person's talking behind my back to everybody else instead of just telling me to talk to me. But stabilizers, especially stabilizers in retreat, are absolutely not plugging in to your chaos. They have no idea how to deal with it. They have no idea how to understand it. They have no idea how to process it. So then they talk to everybody else. That's not really a statement about how much they like or don't like or reject you or don't respect you. It's really about how they need to process the information. So it's really, really critical to understand stabilizer behavior, because for chaos people, it can feel very disrespectful. They absolutely don't mean it that way. In fact, the very reason that they're doing it is because they're trying to keep the peace. Another aspect of stabilizer, especially stabilizer retreat, is when, let's say that you're a solo entrepreneur and you are working with potential clients, and what you're going to see is, oh, hi, Meg, Meg's on. What you're going to see is the that some clients will, even if let's say you hire a stabilizer as a client, they are really going to struggle with activating and executing the plan that we put in place, or they will want so much detail in the plan that you feel like you're never going to get started. And so just understanding stabilizer behavior in that environment is super insightful, and it allows you to provide the information that your clients need to actually activate and have a successful transition. And just getting them hired can sometimes take a long time. We work a lot with proposals and we speak a lot, and often a year after we talk to somebody, someone will call us and say, hey, we're finally ready to do the thing that we talked about a year ago. And you and I might think, oh my God, a year, I don't even know what I'm doing next week, let alone a year from now. But stabilizers tend to process, they like to think about it, they want to see how it's all going to fit, they like it planned out. And so often they need the time to implement those changes. So those are some of the aspects of stabilizers and stabilizer retreat. It's as a group of non-stabilizers in this room, it is something that we pay attention to and think about a lot, about how to engage and relate to stabilizers, because again, they are a large part of our workforce, and it's really, really important to be able to allow them to thrive in our workplaces, and if our clients, how we can support them and how to help them thrive. So I think that is all I have for Stabilizer Retreat. If you would like to see us next Wednesday, come on out to Sioux Falls at the Accountability Summit. It is going to be a really great time. We're going to talk about how to actually create an accountability plan for 2020 and how you can actually pull off the plans that you make, instead of them staying aspirational, how you actually pull them off. So we would love to see you there. Reach out to us, any of us, or on the group if you want to know how. I'll have Shelly put the link in the comments. So thanks a lot, everybody. Appreciate you being here, and I will talk to you later. Bye. Usually Meg starts us off by saying, lead powerfully, and then I say, change the world. So go forth and change the world, everybody. Have a great day.